Hello, everyone.
Voiceover off.
So, I've had a really bad Monday, and I just wanted to come on and talk about it because these are vlogs, this is what I do. So, late last night, I sent an email to the manager of the rehab program for Alphapointe, and I just basically wanted her to know what was going on with Sheriff Air. I wasn't trying to complain, I just wanted her to know what was going on. And it got forwarded around to people within the rehab department, which I knew it would be. And I got told by the O&M instructor that I was complaining and not providing solutions. Okay, so this is what happened. This is basically my email in a nutshell. I had some really good experiences with several of the drivers. I didn't have a problem with them because they were doing their job. I don't have a problem with people who do their jobs the way they're supposed to do their jobs. My problem happens when you're supposed to do your job and you don't do your job the right way. That's where I have a problem. And I don't mean like you have a way of doing it, but you still get the same job done. I don't mean that. Okay, so if you're going to drive for a paratransit service, you would think that the driver would have training in wheelchair lifts and how to do sighted guide and that sort of thing. Well, some of their drivers don't, or they do, but I'll get to that in a minute. So my email was basically telling her what happened because my fear is that they're going to have a client in the future who has, I don't know, maybe an intellectual disability or some other sensory disorder that would, or something that would keep them from knowing when they were lost or keep them from being able to ask for help. And that's the first issue that I had with a driver, is that he dropped me off at the incorrect hotel. He dropped me off at the one across the street, and the only reason that I knew I was lost was because he had his GPS on, and the GPS told him to turn left to turn into the entrance. And I told him to turn left, and he turned right instead of left. And at that point, I thought, okay, it's not really a big deal because maybe it's a different entrance, because they, a lot of times, will block off this entrance. So, hold on. So we go in, and I'm standing there, and he's asking me, do you know your way around from here? And I'm just like, I think this is the wrong hotel. This doesn't smell right. The people at the desk didn't greet me when I walked in. And where I'm staying currently, if the people at the desk aren't busy, they'll greet you. They'll be like, hi, and say your name. And so he ended up having to ask someone which hotel it was, and of course it was the wrong hotel. And he did take me back to this hotel. And he did not know how to do sighted guide, also called human guide? I've always called it sighted guide. And he also, when I got in the bus, said, "Who's that guy behind you?" And it was my boss. And I said, "It's my boss." And he's like, "He seems super protective. Are you sure there's not something going on?" And I was like, "No, there's nothing going on between my boss and I." And he was like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm positive." And he was like, "Is he married?" And I was like, "I have no idea if he's married or not." And he just kept insisting that there was something going on between my boss and I, which is incredibly inappropriate when you're on a job. No matter what the job is, you don't sit there and accuse somebody of having something going on with their boss. That's inappropriate. And I had one other driver after that who did not know sighted guide to the point that he kept trying to take my hand, and I kept telling him, "No, you take my elbow." And then I called them to check on the status of my ride because you can do that. And the operator was like, "Well, you have to press a certain number. I can't give you that information." And I was like, "I know that. I don't have a keypad. I can't even hang up this call." And she was like, "Well, I can't give you that information. You have to press a certain number." And I was like, "Well, how can I do that if I don't have a keypad?" Because my phone's been a little weird lately, and so sometimes when I make phone calls, I literally can't hang up and I don't have a keypad. I don't know what's going on, but that's the issue, and I've tried restarting it and nothing helps. Anyway, so there's that, and then there's, of course, the driver that I was just talking about. And somehow that got taken as, "Oh, she's complaining. Nobody else has ever complained before." Yeah, because nobody else wants to be labeled as a complainer. Nobody else wants to deal with everything. Nobody else wants to hear, "Oh, it's your fault. You need to have solutions." And like I told the O&M instructor, like, what can I suggest that hasn't already been suggested? Because I've talked to people who've used it for years and they've all suggested the same things that I suggested, which is they need to be trained properly. And I just found out today that they are trained, but a lot of the drivers do not listen. Okay, if you're going to be a driver for a paratransit service, you need to listen to the training that you're being given and you need to use it. Because they're not giving you it just to hear their heads rattle. Or yours. They're giving it to you because it's information that you need to use. All I'm saying is, y'all could do better. You could. And then I went with some friends to go shopping, and apparently my boss, who said that he was going to tell the activities of daily living instructor that I was leaving, did not, and they spent 2 hours looking for me. So that was fun. So I apparently caused trouble today without even being there. Who knew? So that's my Monday. Hope your Monday is going a lot better than mine, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.
Voiceover on. Camera. 9 minutes, 35 seconds.